When you think of Rome, you probably imagine conquering legions, marble forums, and emperors with laurel crowns. But beneath the roar of the Colosseum and the weight of empire was something just as enduring: love. Not just a fleeting feeling, but a system, a set of rules woven into the very laws that governed the republic and the empire. In ancient Rome, love could crown you or kill you. It could elevate a commoner to nobility or strip an emperor of his throne. It wasn't left to chance. It was regulated, documented, and sometimes weaponized. Today, we travel back to the Roman world to uncover the rules of love, how marriage, passion, politics, and power intertwined to shape history. A story where love wasn't always romantic, but it was always strategic. Love and law in the Eternal City. To understand Roman love, you have to start with lex, the law. Rome didn't leave relationships to vague custom. It legislated affection. In the early republic, marriage was a formal contract, recognized by one of three main forms: confarreatio, the sacred elite marriage, often for patricians, sealed with spelt bread in front of priests; coemptio, the purchase marriage, a symbolic buying of the bride, still honorable, often among plebeians; usus, the common law marriage, formed after a year of living together without the wife being absent for more than 3 nights. Marriage wasn't primarily about love. It was about alliance, property, and the future of the family name. The Roman term familia wasn't just parents and kids. It was an empire in miniature, ruled by the paterfamilias, the male head whose word was law. Contracts might specify dowry amounts, inheritance rights, property management, divorce conditions. Yet love did have its place. Roman poets like Ovid and Propertius wrote of passion as a kind of conquest, a game with rules, risks, and prizes. And in true Roman fashion, breaking those rules could be costly. The divine and the domestic, gods who modeled love. In Rome, love didn't just belong to mortals. It was the business of gods. The Romans adopted much of Greek mythology but gave it their own flavor: Venus and Mars, the goddess of love and the god of war, forever entwined in a scandalous affair; Juno and Jupiter, the queen and king of the gods, a divine marriage both sacred and turbulent; Cupid and Psyche, a mortal-immortal love story about trust, trials, and redemption. These myths weren't just bedtime stories. They were cultural blueprints. Romans saw divine couples as cosmic endorsements for passion, loyalty, and even infidelity. Jupiter was famously unfaithful, and this had its social implications. Philosophers like Cicero and Seneca discussed marriage not just as a private choice, but as a moral duty. To marry was to uphold the state. For emperors, love could be political theater. Augustus and Livia Drusilla were paraded as the model Roman couple, embodying moral reform, even as whispers said their private life was more pragmatic than passionate. The game of love, Ovid's Ars Amatoria and romantic strategy. If Rome had a dating manual, it was Ovid's Ars Amatoria, the art of love. Ovid wrote in vivid, witty verse, teaching men and women how to seduce, court, and keep lovers. Some of his rules included: attend public games and festivals, their prime meeting spots; use poetry and wit to charm your target; play the long game; make absence a tool, not a punishment; dress to impress, but not to overwhelm. Ovid's lessons were scandalous enough to get him exiled by Augustus, who was enforcing strict moral reforms to promote marriage and curb adultery. This clash between personal desire and public morality was the heartbeat of Roman love. The state wanted stability. The poets wanted passion. Women, Power, and the Marriage Contract. One of the most fascinating truths about Rome: women had more legal influence in marriage than in many other ancient cultures, though still far from equal. Upper-class Roman women could retain ownership of their dowry in certain contracts, divorce their husbands without losing honor by the late Republic, influence politics through family alliances. The concept of manus, legal control over a wife, shifted over time. Early on, a wife passed into her husband's legal power. Later, in free marriage, sine manu, she remained under her father's authority or became legally independent after his death. This meant elite women could amass wealth and wield behind-the-scenes power. Figures like Cornelia, mother of the Gracchi, became cultural icons of virtue and influence. Love in the palace, imperial affairs, and political marriages. For Rome's rulers, marriage was a political act. Consider Claudius and Agrippina the Younger, a marriage that united power but ended in betrayal and murder. Marcus Aurelius and Faustina the Younger, a philosophical emperor and his empress, whose love story survived rumors and politics. Hadrian and Antinous, a controversial imperial love that defied convention, immortalized in statues across the empire. An emperor's choice of partner could secure a dynasty, forge peace between rival factions, or ignite a scandal that weakened his reign. The stakes were never just personal. Lessons Rome still whispers about love. So what can we take from Rome's rules of love? That love was never isolated from law. It was bound to property, duty, and politics. That passion and pragmatism often coexisted in the same marriage. That cultural ideals, whether divine myths or political propaganda, shaped personal expectations. And maybe that we, like the Romans, still wrestle with the balance between what the heart wants and what society demands. Rome has fallen, its marble cracked, and its empire dust. But in the quiet of its ruins, the stories remain of women who negotiated freedom, of poets who broke the rules, of emperors who gambled their crowns for love. The Roman rules of love may seem ancient, but they echo in modern relationships, in the contracts we sign, in the social codes we follow, in the tug-of-war between passion and pragmatism. If you've ever wondered whether love is a battlefield, a contract, or a divine gift, the Romans would tell you it's all three. If this deep exploration into the Roman heart has piqued your curiosity, leave a comment below. Viva Roma! Which Roman love story surprised you the most? Ovid's cheeky seductions, Livia's political genius, or Hadrian's immortal grief? Subscribe for more journeys into the lost worlds of love, because sometimes, to understand the present, we must first walk the ancient streets of the past.